Hey family, how you doing? This is Dr. Constance Lungmeyer, Dr. C. I'm glad that you joined us today on Intentional Living. We are going to talk about entrepreneurship. We're going to have a ball today. That idea that's in your mind, you know, that idea that you put on that scrap sheet of paper, or that idea that you're kind of scared to share with somebody. Take notes today, because we brought in a special guest that's going to help you. She is the person to know when it comes to all things entrepreneurship. I told you we're going to have a ball. We brought in Elice Ball from Bounce Innovation Hub. How'd you like that? Did I just like that? Do you see how I just did that?
I like that. I like the pun. I always like a good pun. I've been raised to like what my mom loves them as well. So I'm raised to love a good pun.
Thank you. Thank you for being on the show. And you with Bounce Innovation Hub. And they do so much for entrepreneurs. They're like the place to be if you are looking for brick and mortar, if you're looking to grow your business. Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, so Bounce Innovation Hub is the place to be for entrepreneurship in Akron, and I would say Northeast Ohio broadly. We're sizable facilities, so 9 floors of space for entrepreneurship, everything from co-working spaces and a wonderful coffee shop. Akron Coffee Roasters just moved in within the past 6 months, running their Akron Coffee Lab, where they have specialty beverages and things like that, but everything from like co-working and coffee shop space all the way up to light manufacturing space, individual offices, and even chemistry labs. So obviously we have a lot of polymers companies in Akron, health tech, software, as well as more sort of brick and mortar businesses and service-based businesses. So we try to have space for all of them and space for entrepreneurs from different walks of life, different fields of interest to be able to collide and get to know one another, learn from one another.
So you said 9 floors.
9 floors. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Oh my God, it is, and it's so cool. It's located right there in Akron. It's like you come from 77 Route 8 or.
It's right downtown, next to a lot of great restaurants within a couple of blocks of there, but also just a really cool space. So the first time I was lucky enough to be there during the opening of the remodel. I wasn't a Bounce employee yet, but I was an invited guest when I saw that space opened up and everything they'd done with it, just a space for inspiration and for creativity. I was just blown away with kind of what they've turned that facility into, and it's definitely just an amazing place to show up, meet interesting people, and be inspired, especially like you said, if you have that idea that you've been journaling about or a little afraid to really get started on. It's a great place to kind of get that inspiration to take that next step.
Yeah, I would go to say that Bounce is Akron's secret sauce.
Yeah, definitely for entrepreneurship and innovation. You're part of that secret sauce because I see you there all the time. You're one of our coworkers and community members, and so there's just a phenomenal group of people there.
It is, and so entrepreneurs. So what programs do you have to help them get started? Let's get that idea out their head, because I remember being there. And when you're stuck in your head, you don't want to tell too many people because you don't want to sound crazy. And they're like, why quit that good job and to write a book? Or, so what would you tell an entrepreneur? How do you help entrepreneurs?
Yeah, so I'll say 2 things, right? So one is the question about, why quit the good job to do something maybe that you're really passionate about but aren't sure of. One thing I will say is you don't have to it's not like one giant leap all at once, right? So when I work with entrepreneurs, I'm always thinking, how do I learn, if this is really something that's going to be successful, something that's going to have legs? Am I solving a problem for people or filling a need? And so that's one of the things that I actually get most excited about is this phase that we call customer discovery, which is all about going out and just talking to people to understand who are my customers, what need am I filling for them? Is it something they're willing to pay for, right? There's a lot of great ideas in the world, but not everything is something that you can really monetize. But going through those early phases, and then in terms of programming to help do that, a few of the things that we have going on right now is our Beyond Startup workshop series. So this is really what I consider to be kind of like good meat and potatoes entrepreneurship training. So I think one of the things that sometimes scares people about being an entrepreneur is some things that you're like, I don't know about marketing maybe, or I don't know about bookkeeping and accounting.
HR.
HR was one that we had not too long ago. We had a wonderful one on AI. I don't know how to take ideas, things off of my plate and let AI technology help me do some of that work. And the woman who taught that was wonderful, Jacqueline Aguilera. She taught a session specifically on how do you have AI help coach you through maybe some of these issues that you're having, while also bringing in experts to make sure the AI isn't sort of hallucinating things. But how do you use AI as a tool? So that's a wonderful. It's the first and third Wednesdays of every month. It's something you can just come to a la carte. Typically, we have about 20 entrepreneurs in each of those sessions, so you get to meet some other entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs, and you get to learn a skill. So you can sort of pick something that you're either really excited about learning or maybe that scares you a little bit, and learn that skill. We also have, like we said, with the co-working space, so we have free co-working days.
Explain exactly what that is.
What co-working is, So, it's basically an opportunity to work from somewhere else for a day. So like so many of us have done at Starbucks over the years, right? There's a dedicated space for it. We have 2 floors, I think one that's a little more collaborative, one that's a little more quiet. Within that space, we also have phone booths, so going a little old school, but if you need to take a Zoom call or a regular call, you have a private soundproof space for that. We have sort of open co-working areas. We have huddle rooms, so if you're meeting with another person, you can meet in a small room, and all of that's kind of included in your co-working membership for the day, week, or month, whatever you're doing. We also have coffee shops and a cafe and things like that. So the whole idea is just, getting into a different space and also, potentially meeting people there. We do have free co-working days. I don't remember off the top of my head which day it is, but you can check it out on our website. We have free co-working days normally at least once a month where you can just come in and try out the space completely for free. We also, coming up, as we're getting close to the summer, in June, July, and August, normally those free co-working days also coincide with our food truck days. So,
those are the best.
Yeah, we park 4 or 5 food trucks out in the parking lot around our facility. So if you want street corn, if you want Southern cooking, if you want homemade ice cream, a lot of ways you can get all of those things in one parking lot, and it's a great opportunity. Again, as you're standing in line there, you'll meet other entrepreneurs. As you're in the co-working space, you'll meet other entrepreneurs. So I think that's always something I encourage people to take advantage of. Because you'll also get to meet some of the Bounce staff. We're always hanging out in those spaces as well. And then other things that we have as people get further along into their business. So we have a program called Sales Ignition that helps with entrepreneurs that already have some initial sales but are trying to figure out how to scale that up. And we're always building new programming for entrepreneurs. We're working on some programming that should be launching later this year around kind of like mindset and team building and leadership and things like that. So we're always trying to launch new workshop series and opportunities for founders to get together and learn from one another. When I say founders, I'm thinking people who have founded startup companies, entrepreneurs, things of that nature.
It's a wonderful place to network.
It's a wonderful place to network.
Because you find that you're with your own kind. Because, being an entrepreneur, you need your tribe.
And I think that's a really important thing, right? Entrepreneurship is a roller coaster, even for the best of us, even for the most zen of us. It's a roller coaster, and so having people to lift you up when you're feeling low, and also people to help you process things. Because sometimes I will tell you, one of the things I hear from entrepreneurs all the time is sometimes the most stressful time for them is when things are going really well. I all of a sudden have 50 orders to fulfill, and I don't know how I'm going to do that. And having, again, that tribe of people who have hopefully experienced some of these things too, that can help you take it one step at a time and just execute the way that you need to. I just think, I can't say enough. I'm a huge fan. Part of Bounce's philosophy and my philosophy is all about, part of the reason why we do these cohort-based programs and co-working spaces and things like that is entrepreneurs can learn so much from one another. It's not always about finding like that one coach or whatever. All of those things are additive, but I think also having other people that are going through what you're going through is so important.
Isn't that pyramid? Because you think sometimes you're alone.
Yeah, it often feels lonely, and it feels lonely at the worst times, I think.
That's right. And you made a wonderful point when you talk about the success. Like you finally hit that mark. Like I worked hard, now I'm there, I'm like, ooh, now what? Yikes. Clutch the pearls.
We all say, oh, it's a good problem to have, but that's a little glib, right? Because it's still a problem, it's still a challenge. I've also dealt with, entrepreneurs that get that loan or that investment they've been, hoping for, and then all of a sudden, it's somebody else's money that they have to kind of answer for, and it layers on that stress. So all of the things that are are good sometimes come with a downside, and that's where having that tribe of people that are going through the same things or have been where you are can be extremely beneficial.
One thing I found about Bounce too, that if you have a company, you can host meetings, you can host events, you can host things at Bounce.
Yeah, and I try to sell people on that all the time, because if you're trying to meet with somebody important, customer, and you're trying to impress them, yeah, for example, you know, some of our programming members, which tend to be people in, again, the software, health tech, and polymer spaces, they get 3 hours of meeting space per month. That's also something that you can just reserve on an ad hoc basis. It's a great way to impress somebody to have this professional space where you can project your presentation, you can let people join via phone, things like that. So that's great. And also, a couple of really phenomenal event spaces there. One's a little more classroom style, one's a little more networking space style. But yeah, I mean, like I said, you know, I've been with Bounce for going on a year now, but you know, before I was at Bounce, I was still there a lot, and I hosted events there and things like that. So I totally see you know, I think it's a wonderful space for anybody who's looking to do something, especially in entrepreneurship.
Yes, because get out your home office, you know. Take that step. You know, part of success is showing up.
That's most of success, I think. Yeah, it's most of success is showing up.
Because I remember having my home office, and it's like, oh my God, the walls are coming in on me. And then when Bounce was introduced to me, I'm like, oh my God, where have you been?
Yeah, I mean, I think it can be helpful in terms of changing mindset. It can be helpful in terms of, you know, separating work from home, because that also is something that we all struggle with, and especially entrepreneurs struggle with, is finding that space for calm. So if you can, you know, work outside the house sometimes and get home and be able to say, okay, I'm going to be done for the day, I think that can be really helpful. And to your point, you know, also just the people, when you start, you know, showing up at a space like this, the people that you're going to meet are really beneficial as well.
And it's good, because you mentioned just talking to others, because you're going to find someone who either went through what you went through or going through what you're going through.
And if you don't meet that right person, you're going to meet somebody who knows the right person. And that's the other thing is, right, every one of those touch points has their own whole network. So yeah, we've seen that happen over and over again.
Because with the climate and everything, I've never heard so many people, now it's spring, everybody want to start now that entrepreneur bug. Yeah. It's like has bitten them.
It's because we've been thinking about it all winter. And now we're like, the weather's beautiful. If you have kids, they're still in school, maybe it's time to get going on something.
Yes. So, yes. So I'm sorry, I'm going to cut you off. Yes.
No, go ahead. What's that?
I was going to say, with being bitten by that entrepreneur bug, they're like, okay, it's springtime. Where do I start? Where do I go? So I would say now start with Bounce.
Start with Bounce. Come in, meet with somebody from the Bounce team, try to meet some other people in the space. I would encourage you to try to come on a free co-working day, because you're going to meet even more people then. It tends to be extra busy those days. Come to a couple of workshops. Pick one that you're like really looking forward to, and one that scares you a little, and get that experience as well. And you'll also meet the people that, because these are true workshops, so don't show up and plan on answering emails for 90 minutes. Show up and plan on working for 90 minutes. The facilitators, again, this I think speaks to the network of my colleagues at Bounce and the people in that community. Really, really wonderful facilitators. I know you facilitated a session for us back in December about your authentic self and unmasking, and people walked out of there kind of transformed and ready to start 2025. So I mean, just the variety of things you can learn, but also just the quality of the facilitators, just wonderful.
Why do you feel entrepreneurship is so scary for people?
I don't know if it's scary for everyone. Well, I think it's scary in two ways, right? Because it's taking a leap, but also very often these ideas are things that are very near and dear to us, and putting ourselves out there in that way can be really scary, right? So I think part of it is, as soon as I admit to this aspiration or this idea, I'm also kind of setting myself up for, like, maybe I could fail. And I think the one thing I will tell everybody, every successful entrepreneur has failed many, many times, and it's really about realizing that many, many things that we're assuming about how our business is going to run, it's going to turn out to be wrong. And that's actually part of the fun and the journey and the ride. And it's being able to reframe that as opportunities to learn as a part of that journey, rather than, you know, I think if you go into it assuming everything is going to be smooth or every assumption you have about how your business is going to work is going to be right. You're going to find it to be extremely challenging, but if you go in and see it as an opportunity to learn and you realize take those failures or those setbacks, like every great entrepreneur has them. We all think they're these overnight successes. I've never, ever, ever met one. Everybody I've met that has been maybe reported in the media as an overnight success, if you start talking to them about their backstory, it's like art, it's like any other field, right? It's struggle, it's setbacks, it's learning, and it's eventually coming to that point where you can really be successful and embrace success. But it is a process, and I think a lot of the scary thing is kind of knowing that we're going to fall down along the journey and having that confidence to go ahead and do it anyways.
And you had mentioned about, coming to bounce and not the part of it not being scary. One of the parts that I've seen with entrepreneurs, you hit on it. It's good. They have it all in a box. This is how I see it. And sometimes it doesn't fit. It's like you have to be open.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely. You are yourself an entrepreneur, right? You've been through some of this.
Yes.
And I think you can speak to,
oh my God,
being open to learning and how important that is.
It's the whole stretching part.
Yeah. That's the other thing that I always think. If you wait until you feel 100% ready,
oh my God,
you have over-prepared and probably wasted months or years of your life. It is stretching a little further, a little outside of your comfort zone, and you'll learn faster and you'll make progress faster. But that is scary.
It is. But entrepreneurs, I think they're a different type of humans anyway.
I don't know. I mean, some of them are.
Yeah.
But I've also met entrepreneurs that I don't know that I would have, like, if I met them at a dinner party, I would not necessarily think, oh, they're a different kind of human. So I think it really depends. And I think there are a bunch of different approaches that can be wonderful for entrepreneurship. I've seen people that are very logical, and very often what they bring to entrepreneurship is that intellectual honesty. So if they are getting feedback, that, hey, maybe this isn't quite the right customer base for me, or this particular problem isn't resonating with my customers. Maybe there's something I have wrong here. Like, they bring that sort of intellectual honesty to it. I've worked with entrepreneurs that are incredible salespeople that I tend to think of as that more entrepreneurial personality. But the way that they're learning is kind of by going out and selling. And being undeterred by hearing the word no, but also learning from the feedback they're getting in that process. I've met with entrepreneurs that are incredibly creative and are really pushing the boundaries of what they think can be done. And I think all of those different kinds of people can be successful. And I think often when they meet each other or team up, that's when you really see things that are just spectacular.
And I think, again, it goes back to your own kind.
Yeah.
Because we think different. Entrepreneurs like, okay, how can we fix something? Or our minds are always trying to fix something or make it better. But you hit on something, a pain point.
Yeah. I think entrepreneurs are problem solvers at heart, right? I think, if you're thinking through business ideas, you have a whole journal full of them. I think the ones to focus on are those ones where you clearly know what the problem is and you clearly know who's experiencing the problem, right? Every business, every Fortune 500 company, right, has grown to solve a lot of different problems, but you've got to start with one. And so I think if you can find a problem that you're passionate about, but also that you have data, hopefully by talking to actual customers that says, hey, that problem isn't just real for me or for some people that I know, but it's real more broadly. I think that's a wonderful place to start. And I always say, that entrepreneurs are typically problem solvers at heart. How they go about seeing that problem or approaching it can be really different, but problem solvers at heart.
Wow.
Always.
So in Bounce Innovation Hub, do you have any lending institutions that can help entrepreneurs? Do you know of any grants? Do we contact Bounce and find out? Maybe there are entrepreneurs like, I'll do it if I had a loan, or I can do this if I had a grant.
So we have, for example, the Small Business Development Center is located in Bounce. Akron Small Business Development Center is located there, which is a wonderful resource. Right, and they help people basically get prepared to apply for bank loans. We have
That's good.
The Minority Business Assistance Center. staff sort of like what we call the help desk. Typically one day a month, they help people get certified as minority women or veteran-led businesses.
Oh, wonderful.
Which often qualifies them for certain state grant opportunities. We also have partnered with a group called Apex, I think, which helps people procure. These are typically federal contracts rather than, grants. So providing a product or service to the federal government, but there's a lot of setup that goes into that. So all of those are available.
Wow.
The other thing I always push for first is like, how do we get some sales? How do we get some what we call traction going before you go after those lenders?
Right. Because that's important, because we definitely want them to know, like, what is it like to hit the pavement? To, knock on doors, shake hands, kiss babies. How are you going to do it? Because you're going to have to pay that loan back.
Exactly. And that's why I would say, like, probably don't get yourself under a loan.
Yeah.
Don't go out and talk to somebody like a friend or family member to invest in your business until you've, again, tested some of these things.
Exactly.
And that's where, the workshops, meeting with other entrepreneurs, meeting with a business counselor like at Small Business Development Center or at one of the sort of bounce staffed help desk events that we have, those can all be great opportunities to think through, okay, how else can I test this business idea and this business model before I go out and sign on a dotted line somewhere?
Yeah.
Because first of all, you're going to get the best terms, right, on whatever money you're getting if you already have some sales or what. Sometimes I say is like, what is the reason to believe this business is going to be successful? And it's easier if you can say, well, I'm already doing it, and what I need is this a little bit more money so that I can get to this next level versus, I think sometimes people put the cart before the horse. It seems very exciting to go out and bring that money in. But again, it's helpful if you are already doing it and you know exactly where you're going to put that capital and how you're going to actually use it to grow your business.
And that's important. That's right. They need bounce. At least we have to tell them they need bounce. Because if I would have had this when I first started, it would have saved me so much headache. Because you don't know what you don't know.
No, you don't know what you don't know. And that's where, again, peer support, business counselors, workshops, right? That can help fix a lot of problems. One of the things I hear all the time that nobody likes to talk about, and this is why I always try to get these into the Beyond Startup Workshop series and things like that, are, bookkeeping and having your financials in good order. Because,
oh my gosh.
First of all, what a lot of people don't understand, because it's scary, because it's a giant column of numbers. I know I felt that way when I first started looking at them too. This tells a story about your business. And if you know how to kind of read the numbers, you can actually understand what's going on in your business. You're nodding because you've already cleared that hurdle, and now you look at it and you go, okay, now I understand what's going on in my business because I'm looking at the numbers.
Yes.
But it also, if this is not right, a bank is not going to give you a loan. If this is not right, an investor shouldn't give you money. You might be able to find somebody who will, but you really want to get that into solid position.
Absolutely.
And again, we have a recurring workshop in partnership with the Small Business Development Center about getting financials in order. And this is something, and we also, that's again, something I'm always sneaking into the Beyond Startup Workshop series, because for me, that's one of the things I think often intimidates people. But it's one of the best investments you can make in yourself if you're considering becoming an entrepreneur, because you can use that skill again to model out what's going to happen in your business, right? By making guesses about how much money you're going to make and how much it's going to cost and things like that. But also, once you get up and running, you can really see, again, you can read what's going on in your business.
And signing up for these, is there a cost for these?
For the, so for the Beyond Startup Workshop series, it's $5.
Oh my God.
To attend,
Awesome.
and you can then co-work at Bounce for the whole day. And very often, we'll have other resources available. Like, again, one of our collaborators from the Minority Business Assistance Center at the Akron Urban League, or, some of the Bounce staff will be kind of around after that event if you have any questions. So that's a great way to kind of get connected up.
So for a cost of a cup of coffee,
Yep.
I could enhance my business.
That's exactly right. Yeah. That's all we're trying to do.
I don't know. I don't know to be happy or mad. Where were you? This is just wonderful. Elice, we just have a few minutes left. What would you tell entrepreneurs? What message? We know about Bounce. We want them to come to Bounce. And I think you've done an outstanding job in explaining the purpose of Bounce and how Bounce can help us. So what other advice, in just a few minutes we have left, what would you tell entrepreneurs or people that are thinking, maybe I want a business, maybe I don't?
So one funny story from several years ago, I worked with an entrepreneur, and when he was hiring one of his first employees, he told them, if you join this company, right, and are basically acting as an entrepreneur, you might not make the most money you can anywhere, but you will learn the most of any job you could take on. So I would say, even if you're just thinking about it, take a step and start behaving as an entrepreneur. Come to a couple of workshops, go out and talk to some prospective customers about your business, engage with some of the staff at Bounce. You will be amazed with what you learn.
Absolutely.
Regardless of where life takes you next, the skills of entrepreneurship are in demand in every single field, every single profession. And many of the entrepreneurs that I know aren't people that started out as entrepreneurs. Like, we all think about the computer genius in their dorm room at 20. Most of the entrepreneurs that we work with are from completely different stages of life. It's not for one time. And I've worked with entrepreneurs where they attended some things and then they decided they weren't ready to start their business then, and then they came back 2 years later in a slightly different position in their life, having done a little bit more work and feeling very confident, and launch the business then. So I think there's no time like the present, especially. The roads are clear, it's beautiful out. Come engage with entrepreneurship. You'll learn some amazing things. You may decide to launch your business now, you may decide to launch your business 2 years from now, but those skills are gonna enrich your life and your career no matter what.
This has been fantastic. Tell us, how can we contact Bounce? What's the website?
Yeah, so it's bouncehub.org. So bouncehub.org. And there's info on there about all of the programs that we've been talking about, all of the opportunities with Bounce. You'll see bios for all of our staff. So it's just a great way to learn and see what the best fit for you to engage is.
Oh my God. Thank you for coming.
Hey, I'm happy to be here. This has been wonderful.
It has. So we're right on track for spring. Time for new, let's get that business started.
I was going to say, they say instead of New Year's resolutions in places like Ohio, you should set a spring resolution because it's easier to keep. So this can be everybody's spring resolution.
I love it. Let's do it. Family, thank you so much for joining our show today. Again, if you have that job in your mind, if you've been doodling about it, check out Bounce Innovation Hub. You'll be glad you did. There's services there. There's resources there to help you. Someone's there to help you on this journey so you don't have to feel alone. We'll talk to you soon.